Well, I've just finished a book that I've enjoyed very much. It's named The Echo of Old Books by Barbara Davis. And for some reason, I've been on a reading jag of books set in either libraries or old bookstores on the eve of World War II. I guess I'm not the only one because it seems like there's a lot of books in this genre, but if I see them in a little free library, I'll take them. If you see them in Kindle, I'll take them. If I see them someplace else, I'll take them. So that's where I am right now. This book is actually quite good. It is set in 2 different times and 2 different places. It starts off in 1941 on the cusp of the United States involvement in World War II. And the parallel story is set in 1984 in a little used bookstore on the Eastern Seaboard of the United States. So the 2 stories are like this. In 1984, a young woman named Ashlyn, who owns this old bookstore, receives a box of books and other things from a fellow bookseller who just doesn't have time to go through them. So she takes them and goes through them, and she finds this little book that is printed and bound, but there are no author's names, no date when it was written, there's no copyright, there's no way to trace who wrote this. And the book is written from the standpoint of a young man who falls in love with a woman in upper class New York society, as I said right before our involvement in World War II. So Ashlyn gets this, and part of the book is her reading little bits of this sort of book, journal, diary. So as she reads that, and as we read it, we get a sense of life in upper class New York right before World War II, and it's kind of an interesting insight into what was happening there and then. And we also get a look at Ashlyn's life as she reads this little book, and as she starts a journey of looking for these people who are in the book, even though she has no author's name and all of the names in the book appear to be pseudonyms, and she just starts a story of exploration. I found the book to be just a nice read. I found it was well written, it was pleasant, the pace was good, it kept my interest up, and there were even some unexpected twists and turns. It was, I guess you could say, it's part historical fiction, part romance, part character analysis, as many things, but it is a great summer read. I just sat there on the front porch and read it every evening. And one nice thing about having this Kindle is that even if it's dark outside, I can still read. So I'd sit on the very nice cool porch and look at the Kindle and read the book. This book hooked me in emotionally also, and I did get a little weepy at the end. It's the heat. But I did enjoy it. It was a very interesting character study, especially the 1941 part about what happens in wealthy families before World War II in New York City society. And if you've ever read any books by Edith Wharton or other authors who wrote about that time, it could be a very brutal place, no matter how much money you had. So this is definitely a book I would recommend for light reading, for enjoyable reading. And I don't recommend every book I read. I just want you to know that for every book that I do recommend, there's 10 that I've either returned to a little free library, returned to a regular library, or have returned to Kindle. This book, however, checked off all the boxes for believability, for being well written, for having a plausible storyline, for having all the things you want out of a book. So I guess I want to ask you some questions. Are you as obsessed with pre-World War II novels set in bookstores and libraries? I don't know what the deal is, but every time I see one, I got to read it. And what books are you reading that you enjoy right now? I'm looking for inspiration. I usually like thrillers, psychological thrillers, but they seem a little heavy duty for the summer. They're kind of more of a winter read, for me at least. Hoping that your summer's going well, your reading's going well, and that life is treating you well. Thank you so much for watching.